Hello everyone, this is Moby's Pearl, and I am finally back with another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. I bounced up to spend Easter with my fiance because she is so awesome. We went out to the game store on Saturday. Lo and behold, my buddy had brought his Orcs and Goblins in addition to his Khorne Demon army that he intends to take it to Buckeye Battles in July. So I asked if I could take command of his Greenskins, get a game in. So here we are. If you follow Once Bitten 360's Warhammer Battle Reports on YouTube, you probably recognize this Demon army. My opponent has absolutely beautiful themed army. This is the same guy with the all Night Goblin army and the all Slaanesh Demon army. Because of all the work in the themes armies, his Greenskins have kind of taken a backseat to painting, but it's all good. So let's get down to it. 2,500 points. It's a battle line scenario. Going down the Demons line, starting on the right flank. My left, he's got 5 Khorne Hounds. Then more in the center, he has 2 units of 29 Bloodletters each. And they're both led by Heralds. The unit on the left is the Herald is his BSB, who has a standard that makes 1 lore of magic -2 to cast. Unit on the right has the Icon of Endless War, so they have a very long first charge. Also, the Herald in that right unit carries a weapon that grants flaming attack, so I want to keep the trolls away from them. The Bloodthirster in the center, of course, is his general. He has an armor that gives him 3+ armor save and makes any magic weapon carried by an enemy character in base contact with him count as a mundane weapon. He's also got his spell scroll and he's infinite hatred. Then on his far flank, his far left flank, my right, he's got a unit of 6 Blood Crushers led by a Herald who I don't think he carries any items. So then looking down the Orc and Goblin army line, this is the far left flank opposite the Khorne Hounds. I've got 5 Goblin Wolf Riders. They're batteried by 6 Trolls, further batteried by a unit of 20 Savage Orc Biggins who are led by a level 2 Shaman with the Lucky Shrunken Head. So they have a 5+ ward save instead of 6+. Next to them is a unit of 25 Basic Orcs. They have Hand Weapon and Shield. These guys are led by the BSB, who's got the Standard Discipline, and the General, who's got a Magic Axe that gives him +1 attack, +1 strength, and +1 weapon skill, I think. And then he has a Magic Armor that gives him 4+ ward save. So because of the 2 character synergy in this unit, I have a Leadership 10 bubble that's rerollable. Next to them is a unit of 23 Black Orcs, then a unit of 25 Night Goblin Archers who are hiding 3 Fanatics. Then you can't see them very well, but behind the Goblin unit is a level 4 Night Goblin Shaman with a 5+ ward save and a Staff of Sorcery, which isn't very useful against the Khorne army who absconds using magic. Then finally on the far right, I have all my spider units. I have the Ragnarok Spider, Goblin character riding a Giant Spider, and then finally 5 Spider Forest Rider, 5 Spider Rider Forest Goblins. So that's kind of tough to say. So, not in my opinion, a terribly optimized army for 8th edition. Units could probably use a benefit to be plussed up in size. 20 orcs is not very much. Probably looking to want to get like 30, maybe 40. A few ballista and catapults wouldn't hurt, but still, this should be a fun game. So, and I don't get to get many gaming opportunities anymore since I moved away. So Demons go first, and his turns go very quickly. The Khorne army competes in the movement and the hand-to-hand combat phases only. So basically all the units surge forward, and it's on to Greenskin turn 1. So I figure I don't want the Hounds running rampant through my line, so I charge the Bloodletters in the center with the Wolf Riders just to move them out of the way so the Trolls can charge the Hounds. Everything goes as planned, and I connect both charges. I know the fast cavalry are doomed, but the Trolls should be able to trounce the Hounds pretty easily. My only concern now is my Trolls are very far away from my leadership bubble, so getting them support later in the game could be difficult with their stupidity roll. I move the Night Goblins 8 inches up to the Blood Crushers and release the Fanatics. 2 of them make contact, deal 11 hits, and then after rolling the wound and ward save, they kill off 3 Crushers. So I'm pretty happy about this, but the unit is still pretty dangerous. Plus, what's more, 1 Fanatic fell just short of hitting the Blood Crusher unit. I think it moved 7 inches. So if they move forward, they'll have to pass over him, take another 2d6 hits. So I decide to bait the Crushers into a charge with the Ragnarok Spider. I look at this move and wonder what I was thinking. I could have blocked the Crusher's advance with the Spider Riders or that lone character and used the big spider to put pressure on the Demon infantry in the center. I think past me was probably thinking that my opponent knows this move way too well from playing against my Heartless and wouldn't fall for it, but he might risk the Fanatic hits to try to take out the big Ragnarok. Then in the middle, my General's unit fails Animosity and sits still squabbling, so I decide it's probably better not to break up my line and don't move the Black Orcs forward, but I bring the Savage Boys up just a little bit to get them in line. I get 11 dice in my magic phase, but then my Night Goblin Shaman rolls a natural 2 on his first spell, so he was done, and then nothing else important happened. go to hand-to-hand combats. Of course, the Wolf Riders are obliterated, but the Trolls do okay. I lose one Troll, but there's only 2 Hounds remaining out of that unit of 5. So I'd really like to pop these guys in one go, but the ward save rolls, they were just on fire. So here's a battlefield shot before going into Demon's turn 2. The Bloodthirster guns it into the Orc General's unit, and the Bloodletters on the right, they charge the Night Goblins. I elect to flee, and then they redirect it into the Black Orcs. Not terribly confident about either of these combats. I know I can hold the Bloodthirster for a round or 3 using the Champion first, and then hope that my General's ward save will hold out. But, man, that guy is death incarnate. He has 7 attacks, at weapon skill 10, his strength is 6 or 7, and he has Infinite Hatred and Thunderstomp, so he is the Blitzer of Blitzers. Over on my right, my opponent braves the Fanatic and loses another Crusher charging through the Fanatic and into the Arachnarok. We go right into hand-to-hand combat since there's no magic or shooting, and the Bloodletters just blaze through the Black Orcs. I think he killed like 11 or 10 Orcs, which is crazy considering he had 15 attacks going in, so he hit really well and killed a lot. Then I only did like 2 or 3 wounds in return, and my guys got broken, they ran down. In the pursuit, the Bloodletters fell just shy of running into that Shaman, who I'm sure he just crapped a magic mushroom. On the right, the Arachnarok took 4 wounds. He dealt out a few in return, but he still broke. I think he lost by 2. Even though he's stubborn, he's only stubborn on a 6. I'm chalking that mistake up to not knowing Orcs and Goblins list very well, and I thought he was braver than that. He does get away by an inch, though. The Bloodthirster does get controlled. He just eats the Orc Champion. I think I actually won the combat through static combat res, and I'm not. At one point, the Bloodthirster gets 2 wounds on him. I think I did one here through instability. Then the Troll Hound combat happens, and I get upset. I'm not able to finish this unit off. I think neither of us did any wounds, but one of the Hounds died through instability. Kind of a letdown. So here's a shot of the table after the second Demon's turn going into Greenskins. I know neither of these light units can take on the Blood Crushers in combat, so I move them up and hope to do a few wounds with their very inaccurate shooting. The little Shaman sneaks past the Bloodletters and places himself facing the Bloodthirster. Gobos rally and reform to get out of line of sight of the Bloodletters, and maybe to shoot the Blood Crushers in a turn or 2. Over here, well, this kind of sucks. This is a picture actually after combat. I was just out of line of sight of to charge the Bloodthirster with the Savage Boys, which sucks because they have that pig sticker or whatever it does. It does a lot more damage against big things. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I know I would have been in really good shape if I could have got them in. So, I figured it'd probably be better to charge the Bloodletters than to be charged. So I go in. I think I did like 5 wounds. I lost 5 or 6 also. I win, but I think I just won by like 1, and nobody pops through in Spilly. And with that many demons left and that few orcs, it's only a matter of time before my unit breaks there. And then, I also missed another shot of the trolls who couldn't put that last damn that hound down. I think it did 2 wounds and they were both saved. The ward saves this game, man, he was just on fire, and these things were unreal. And then in the combat with the Bloodthirster, my war boss decided to try to stave off the damage. He took 2 wounds, and I think I did 1 return. Like I said before, he got 2 wounds on him. I'm not sure. I did win combat, but I didn't pop the enemy, so we're moving on to Demons 3. All his units are either in combat or can't see anything to charge, so this is a very quick turn. He reforms the Bloodletters to see the Orcs, and the Blood Crushers to see the Gobos, and then, he knows if he tries to chase those spiders, I'm just going to simply get out of the way, and he's going to waste time. So straight on to combat, Trolls finally, after 4 rounds of combat, finish off the Khorne Hounds and reform to face the center of the Bloodletters. They handily beat the Savage Orcs, but I think I get out of his charge range by like 1 inch or something. They don't catch me. The Thirster finishes off my general, and now I think I'm kind of hosed. My Savage Orcs, they rally at the start of the Greenskin 3, but the Troll's too stupid to charge that nice, juicy flank of the Bloodletters. The guy with the flaming sword is on the other side of the Orcs, so I think the Trolls could have really gone to town with these guys, but with no leadership to keep them in line, they're going to be scratching their backs and picking their noses and stuff for the rest of the game. The Night Goblins, they light up the Blood Crusher unit. They had a poison buff from my Shaman, he cast a spell, and they managed to finish off the unit and leave that Herald with only 1 wound left. By the way, my Shaman, he decided to charge the flank of the Bloodthirster. I was really just hoping for a miscast during the magic phase, maybe do a damage to that guy, but that didn't happen. But going into, I did get a Gorkle Fix-It. on the Bloodthirster, and then I figured I could challenge in the hand-to-hand combat phase to save some of the damage to the Orc unit. And if my guy would survive, I'd have 3 ranks, standard, BSB, and a charge into his flank for combat res. That's a total of 7. And it almost worked too, because the Bloodthirster, he did 2 wounds during with his attacks, and then he finally did the third and final wound with 1 stomp. I think he rolled a 1 for his Thunder Stomp, and it got through my 5+ ward save. So I still won, but only by like 2 instead of 6 or 7. So the Bloodthirster, he's still stuck around. It's getting dicey, but here's a shot moving into Demons 4. The Herald on the Crusher, and he screams his head off and decides to charge the Night Goblins, but they take him out with their poison arrows before he can even move. And then this is pretty much game. Bloodletters charge the flank of the Orcs, and the other unit of letters charge the Savage Boys to finish them off. Which is exactly what happens. The combat against the Bloodthirster was really, really fun, though. I had like 5 or 6 people watching, and I put every attack that I could on that Bloodthirster. And even though I needed 5s to hit and 6s to wound, I think I only had like 7 attacks, I managed 3 wounds. And then for armor saves, the Bloodthirster failed 2 of those outright, and he threw a 6 on the 3rd one, which he had to re-roll because of the Gorksel Fix-It Hex, and then he failed it. So he's down to his ward saves, and he has to pass at least 1 to survive, and because I think he's a 5-wound guy. He had 2 wounds on him before, and he only passed 1 out of the 3. So the Bloodthirster is limping around with only 1 wound left before all the Orcs in the center are destroyed. So battle's coming to a pretty decisive close. For some icing on the cake, one of my rogue fanatics passed through this character on the giant spider and caused 2 wounds. Trolls, of course, failed their herp derp test, and for funsies, that big goblin archer unit that I maybe could have reformed and shot the Bloodthirster dead. They failed Animosity and squabbled. I did move these Spider Riders in a last-ditch effort to maybe get the last wound on that Bloodthirster, but it didn't happen. So in Demons 5, all the remaining demon units set themselves up for some final charges in turn 6. I double dog dared my opponent to put his Thirster right in front of the Spider Riders. He was kind of like, where am I going to put him? Where's the best spot? And I said, I double dare you to put him in front of the Spider Riders with their short bows. And he obliged, but that just wasn't to be. We'll go straight into turn 6. It was kind of anticlimactic, and I'm missing a lot of the pictures just because we were wrapping up. The Bloodletters, they charged the flank, and they finished off the Trolls real easy. The Spider still stood still in the 5th turn to get an aiming bonus on the Bloodthirster, but couldn't manage that last wound, and then the Bloodthirster charged him and squashed him. And then the other Bloodletter unit, they charged the Night Goblins who fled, knowing they weren't in any danger of fleeing off the table. Oh, and speaking of those goblins, those idiots failed on Animosity in turn 5 also, so they failed it two turns in a row, so they couldn't do anything to help to face the Bloodthirst, maybe get a few extra shots against him. So in the end, total massacre. I don't feel like I put up much of a fight using this Orc and Goblin army. Those demons, man, they are ninja quick, and I felt like my main battle line just stood there and took it in the face when they charged across the field in turn 2. Maybe I should have deployed further back. I don't know. It probably would have just meant to charge in turn 3 instead of turn 2. And I didn't have much in the way to whittle them down before they locked in. No ballistas or stone throwers or anything like that. Still, it was an absolutely fun game, and I can glean some intel in case I have to face this army in July at the tournament with my Heartless. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it.